So before I ask you any questions, I just
Right.
wanted to bring our poll number 3 up in terms of questions about the sound. So the questions is, what do you think about sound design? And we're going to answer both the polls number 2 and number 3 at the end of this session. Okay. So Kunwin, sound makes for a very powerful emotion, and a lot of times
Yes.
we relate sound when we go to a cinema, like when it's sad, we listen to sad music, or when
Right.
there's a dramatic, we go with that. But how can we incorporate sound into a travel experience?
Right. Yes. I mean, we can incorporate sounds in various ways actually, and I think that because like we are we are never living in a complete silence. We hear sounds all the time. So when talking about experience, when you go somewhere, then it meaning that we hear sounds all the time, and it's part of our living without with knowing that it's there. So it's like breathing, it's like air. It's with you all the time. So and I think sound and music in this sense, I would like sound and music for me in this sense, it's one thing. When we talk about sound design here, I think sound and music is the same component, and it's really about us to like when should we bring the sound into the experience. I mean, the for me, sound it's a very powerful tool. It really transports you to places internally, and it can evoke your emotions, can bring up the memories, and it can reflect moods in so many ways. So um, when when talking about like travel experience, I would say that's three ways. For me, that's three ways that we can incorporate sounds with with traveling experience. I would say uh, we can have a life experience sound. When you travel to places, and then you will hear things. You hear sound of the nature. You can hear um, sounds of place. Like if I go to the beach, then I expect to hear sound of you know waves,
Mm,
uh, and so this is one thing. This is the sound that you experience when you really like go out to place. For example, you can have like live music or something exotic. It really depends on the trip, and also we there's also a component of silence. For me, silence is also a sound design as well.
yeah.
You don't need to have music. You don't need to have sound all the time. And when to use it, it's also a very uh, important decision as well. And also for me, like the third component, it's a music playlist, or like when you put on some music as a background music, or you can incorporate music in so many ways. Um, yeah, I think these are the components that can be incorporated with travel experience.
Mm. So Kunwin, can I ask you this? Is it possible, like, can you able to create music that goes along with the company's like, would you say, morals and their vision? Like, for example, if you have a certain company that's very young, energetic, you find music matching to those.
Yes, of course, definitely. I mean, um, yes. You mean in terms of playlist, right? Like,
Correct. Yes.
yeah, yes, of course, it is. I mean, like, I mean, like professionally, I've done like playlists for for shopping malls, for weddings, for so many events. I design playlists for restaurants, cafes, and so it's kind of very important to know like what is your clients and what is like what is current, what is good for the mood. Is it like fun vibe? I think that when playlist is combined right with with sense, with the decoration, with space, it can create a very, very good vibe. And it is something that it is very special in a way.
Okay, wonderful. So people always think about sound design is just background music, or just music that is not very important to the incentive program. But how are we able to design this so that music becomes a part of the incentive program or like a travel program?
Right. I mean, as I said, I think that when like in the music production, when we say sound design, right, we always think of it as like when you design something synthetically, design like sound that will give that can be put into a piece of music, and it just like give the uniqueness to the piece of music. But in this sense, I think sound design, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's like in overall. It's just a component, like you can incorporate sound, any kind of sound effects, like sound of nature, or with along with the music. But I think that like in terms of sound design, I would say first of all, what important is the conceptual design. What is the concept of the whole trip? If you want to plan the whole trip and you want to plan all this whole experience, what should come to your mind is like, what is the concept? What is the unity? How can the sound, how can how can we kind of connect all these senses together to give a very particular experience? It's is like the concept is exotic, is it organic, or is it fun, is it vibrant? You want it to be very convivial, very outgoing, or if you want the concept to be like more private, more secluded, very kind of like quiet, and I think this is like what the design of sound it's all about, and secondly, I think it's about the content of the design. And like, is it a music? Is it a new composition? Is it a sound effects? Is it a soundscape? Is it background sound? When you use in spa, when you would expect when you go to spa and you can hear sound of water, and you can hear the sound of wind. Is it soothing? Is it something like that? Like where it comes from, and then also another element that is important with sound design is like the source design, the acoustic design. Is it come from speakers? How far is the speaker? How close you want the room to be? You want it to feel like a little bit cluster, or you want it to feel very open? I think that when everything is done right, a good design, it should be very relevant, and it should be very relatable. It should draw people in, not pushing them out. And it must blend in with other components as well to create like this overall experience. Yes, I mean, like, imagine when like if we try to remember a very good experience in our life, I'm sure that a lot of components is right, like taste, sense, and sound. Not everything should blend together perfectly.
Sumit, is there an example of something that you have done recently where sound was it was the center of attention for a particular event or something?
sounds concerts. I mean, like
Okay.
I've done concerts. I've done like theme recently. Like I've done theme music. So I'm also a composer, and I mean. I mean, I've done a lot of theaters,
Yeah.
and also, it really kind of like makes you think about, especially when I do a realistic kind of theater sound design. Sometimes
Yeah.
I was given a script, and it says, I need to create sounds of New York City, at night,
Yeah.
and of course, like I cannot just, it's very particular, New York at night sounds
Yeah.
different from Bangkok at night,
Correct. Yeah.
and so it is very important of like what time of the year it is,
Yeah.
what's the era of this, and so it's so delicate, you really got to think about these kind of thing, and you've got to design, something that is so right. And I mean, for theater, it's also about, for theatrical arts, it's also about, you've got to have a right sound for the right mood for the scene as well. For
Yeah.
example, like if I create sound of a city at night when all the characters are happy, and are having dinners, it is different from if I have to create sound effect of the city at night where the main character is planning to murder someone.
Yeah.
Of course, it's kind of like got to have that kind of sense as well, because we perceive sound differently. Like when we are really agitated, a sound of dripping of water in your sink, it can sound so loud and you just get so annoyed. But yeah, and that is something that, when you do sound design or theatrical design and you try to design the environment, you've got to understand this like psychoacoustic thing, like how we perceive sound and how you want the audience to perceive it, like from the point of view of the main character. This is how the designs come into play with these elements. It is a very huge topic when talking about sound design in particular situation. So yeah.
Like there is a term that I've heard it before. It's called soundscape.
Right.
What does soundscape mean?
Soundscape, it's like landscape, right? So it's a very immersive experience.
Okay.
And it's kind of it has to do with sound of nature and I mean like recorded sound of nature, and then you just like put in soundscape. It's almost like you imagine when you walk in a room and you have so many speakers from around you, because when we hear sound in live, right, we don't hear it in stereo all the time, if you know what I mean. It's like around us. You can hear something behind you, you can hear something in front of you, you can hear something above you or beneath you. And this is kind of like what is soundscape about, like for example, when you go to cinema and then you have this like atmospheric, like speakers like comes everywhere, and soundscape is actually kind of like an experience, an installation that's supposed to transport you and to give you a sense of, like a landscape, but without seeing, but hearing it. And it can be synthetic, it can be like very organic in a sense. And so yeah, this is what soundscape it's about. Yeah. But
Okay.
I mean like you can do it organically as well. Like when you walk in a room, you can like have some sound installation over there. You can have sound of fountains, sound of like it can be anything, but it's just really a terms that's very immersive, like you just like be in the place, acoustically.
Thank you. Team, can we get the result of the poll for the sound, please? So when people think about scent design, they think about perfumery and fancy places they were quite close to one another. It's interesting to see that when people think about scent design, just 2%, just two of the audience think that it must be expensive, which is quite interesting as well. Can we get the poll result for the sound design, please? So what do you think about sound design? Majority of the people think the ambience of the scene. So
yeah, it is actually quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to say. I mean, like sound, it's a very abstract thing. I mean, like sound design can, I don't know, for me, music playlist is also a sound design, and you know, like it has everything to do with anything.
Yeah. So no, I just wanted to ask both Kun Win and Kun Koi now, if somebody would like to hire you to enhance the experience of an incentive trip, how should they prepare themselves to make a brief to you? Like, what do you require, like, in terms of just to make the whole experience go smoothly? We can start with Kun Koi first.
Okay, I think the first thing is that it's all about the brief that we should start together to work with. I think the first is, what is the objective of using the scent in that particular brief? For example, it's going to be something for the experience or to just deliver the message. I think that is one thing, and that we need to understand. And then we need to work together in terms of, what if it's all about, for example, storytelling, what kind of message that we would like to have. Then we can, after that, then we can work in terms of how we can translate that kind of message into the scent, into the perfume, into how it should smell, which actually I think in this case, that would be the certain question, that how would we know that people will like or dislike it? Yeah, because I think this is one of the things that is a kind of a challenge that people always have in mind when starting having the smell or the scent. But if we're talking about the scent design for the specific opportunity or anything, I think it's more about how we craft the message through scent. So it's not, I think it goes beyond the like or dislike. So it's more about what kind of message, the story that we would like to deliver or to tell to the audience or to our people in our trip, you know. And that is something, for example, if we're talking about this is the trip, it's for like the team building, for example. This is for one company and we are doing this trip for everyone to get together. And then we need to understand that what are the key message that we want to build up after this team building. And then through that, we can work on how scent can help in making them having that kind of memory, that kind of emotion, that kind of mood. For example, if we, or otherwise we can also use scent to make the, I mean, how to say, like, how to make the audience feel. Is it going to be about confidence? Is it going to be the team, the loving and care, for example? I think all the fragrance can help in terms of delivering the message and story. And then after that, I think that would be another challenge. The question is it going to be expensive in delivering to the people? There are different kind of things, and I would say that that is the big thing always when I work with so many people, that should we talk about having the machine to do that in case that we have the big event, or what kind of thing that we need to do. To me, I don't think that is not necessary. It depends on what we would like to deliver. And most of the time I suggest and recommend the clients that we should start from thinking very simple first. Otherwise, the smell or scent will be never ever be in anywhere, because people will say that it's too expensive. So for example, when I do the plays, like the musical play, for example, people might start coming to me that, oh, what should I do? How much money I should have to make sure that in the theater, then I can get this kind of smell around the theater. Then I said, wait, we can do it, because I have done that kind of the theater using a very simple way of doing it. I just use the spray, like having people walking around, and spray it, and you dress it in black, for example. So you don't need to think of something that is so expensive, the machine or whatever. It just come to a very simple and down to earth. Otherwise, this kind of sense will never ever get into any place, because people will say that cost is my problem. And even sometimes for the concert or anything, for just particular music or one song, we can do it. Or otherwise, another thing I would, if I may say, in terms of the outdoor. For example, I believe that you have this kind of outdoor activities as well with the team building. I think we really need to discuss as well, what is the magic moment? We don't need to have the fragrance or the smell all along the way, right? But we need to pick one magic moment when we want to deliver or highlight the message, and then the scent or fragrance can help in doing that. And there are so many means or the method to deliver the fragrance, and we can discuss on what would be the best and within the budget, rather than just think of something very expensive.
Couldn't win anything to add on top of that?
Right. I mean, like, actually, it's just amazing how like we how music and scent, share a lot of the same thing actually. Like, for Kun Chalida, I would like to mention that last year I did a musical play, and we incorporate scents into the musical play as well. Having people spraying, sound of bakeries, sounds of not sound, I mean scent of cakes and bakeries, and it was quite something actually. Like it's really special. But yeah, okay, come to this anyway. Yeah, I mean, in terms of working on the how to incorporate sound into traveling experience, I would say that probably like concept, it's everything. Concept is the heart. Like what I think that the music and the sound, just like something that you've got to consider vibe. The word vibe. I mean, like, what is the group of people that traveling, like are they here to have fun? Like what kind of fun they want? Or is it like more, is it an adult? Is it like young teenagers? Like what kind of vibe do you want? And also, I mean, in general, if you go to travel, and then you can have music, along the way. You can have a very, specific playlist. And of course, when you come to the hotel, when you're so tired, like from traveling long hours, then of course, have something soothing, prepare in the reception, or that can be very nice. That's something that definitely sound can do. Of course, especially if you have like special events, as Kun Chalida said, like to highlight. Do you have a highlight point to the experience? Like, do you have a parties? Do you have some kind of or it can be incorporated in so many experience. Like if you go into exotic places, and if you have like you can have exotic scents, and of course you can have exotic sounds to go with that as well. For example, if you go to have exotic dinner and you want to create, you want to have a food experience, then of course, we can bring in elements of, exotic sound, and, like that. There's so many ways that we can cooperate in it. And it's really about the concept, and it's really about, like the design in general. And, it's really, how you plan the journey to be, and how can we, highlight and tailor to that needs, actually. Yeah.
This is a personal question that I want to ask. A lot of times I've seen that people think that, sound and scent is something easy. I can do it. I can do this by myself. I'll just go ahead and, make sure I'll just bring in some perfume, I'll bring in some speakers, and I'll create sound and scent. What mistakes could happen, and what could go wrong in the experience that a guest can have?
Kun Shalida, would you want to go first?
I think, it's quite good question. Yeah, I never thought that way before. Yeah, but the thing is, I think if you really understand what you are trying to deliver, or such an event, or what you are trying to do to tell the story, for example, I think of course that either the scent or sound, you can do it by yourself. Yeah, because you truly understand what you are trying to do and you're trying to deliver. I would say that the downside would be that I would say just only on the fragrance or the scent first. On the technical part, that it could be too strong. It could be too, if I would say on behalf of Kun Win, it could be too loud, for example, or it could be too subtle, I think it's more on the technical as well. But all in all, I think there are two parts of it. One is in terms of the message or the things that we want to communicate through scent or through sound, which I believe that the host or the organizer would know already by heart. But if you can do that by yourself, that's very good. However, that would be the technical part of it, that the media that you would like to use it to deliver, that would be something that it's more on the technical. Like, for example, from the scent, that would be matching, or how you want to do it, because especially for scent, it's not like electrical or like this that you can switch on or off, or the music that you can just turn on or turn off. But scent is something that lingering all around, and you cannot just switch on, switch off based on what you want at that moment. So you need to know this kind of technical as well. For example, if it's too much, and that could turn the negative feedback from consumer or from people, how would you do that to stop it? It's not that easy. You switch off and then it's gone. No, you have to find a way how you repel it or how you remove it. I don't know, Kun Win, what do you think?
I mean, pretty much the same actually. But I just would like to add on, on the part of music. I mean, yes, of course. I mean, it comes to technicality as well. How would you install the speakers? Is the sound too loud, or is it too subtle? This is all very technical thing. And of course, when you try to curate or try to incorporate sound, the right sound, it's just hard to get it right as well. Okay, let's say, like, for example, like I did playlists for bars, and it's really not what you like. It's what is right to the place, to the design overall of the place, and to the experience for the customers, right? I mean, like for me, what I'm looking for in a good playlist is always unity. You've got to be able to somehow connect all the music together, and it gives some certain unity that, okay, this is the place, this is the statement of the place, this is a hip bar, so the music needs to be hip, it has to give like this one message, this one unity, and also of course the flow. When you're in there, you've got to like, we never know when the customer will walk in at like, can be any time, but when they sit there and then when they like feel comfortable with the place, and when they locks in with all sense, smell, sound and music and everything, it needs progression, it needs to feel smooth. And when it's done right, you just don't hear it, but you just feel it internally and visually. So I mean, this is very, very, very important. And of course, like I mentioned, that it's also the silence also matters, because like when you try to do sound design, like even a very good designer but inexperienced, it can be too much, it can be overpowering, and nothing is nice, in perpetual cacophony, it's not going to be good. So it needs a right balance of everything, and it it will create a whole new level of experience, I would say, in my opinion. And this is something that I think all good designers strive for.